every minute they spend doing those kinds of things, A, they're probably not doing it as well as one of my team members will be able to, and B, whoever has just hurt your loved one may be getting away with murder, and they need to be out there doing their job. So we will be there to offer them that shoulder to cry on, to give them the empathy that they need, to give them the love that they need. And then when the situation is calmed down, because in a crisis situation, it goes through a cycle, even right there at the moment, things do slow down after a while, and then that's when, the trauma really begins, when things do slow down, to give them, lessons on what to expect. This is what grief is. This is how you may be feeling. This is how you might not feel, or actually probably say something along the lines of whatever you feel is normal, whether it be anger, whether it be disappointment, whether you want to talk to everybody, if you don't want to talk to anybody at all. You're kind of just educate them on what to expect. We will also educate them on the criminal justice system. So the offender's been arrested, they're going to go in front of a judge, this is what's going to happen, the DA might need you for this, we can have people go to court with you, just education, because the last thing that you want to leave a victim with is the idea that they're not going to be a victim forever. You want to leave them empowered so they can take action on their own. Because if you don't teach them, or show them that they can get through this, then they won't. It's so debilitating, especially violent crime. Research shows us that death is traumatic for everybody. You can't avoid it. We're all going to die. But in our culture, death is traumatic for people. Even those of us that have 90-year-old grandmothers who, we've been not waiting, but, we've been expecting them to pass for years. When they finally do, it's still traumatic because of how we think about death in our world. But murder is way off the scales, especially when it's your child. So I guess if you're ranking death itself is traumatic, however it happens, and then you've got over and above that, you have the death of a child is the next most or greater trauma for an individual, and then you add the fact that your child was murdered to that, and you've just won the trauma lotto. You have just experienced the worst trauma that scientists believe a person can experience. All bets are off. They need to know that they can survive that. And so you give them empathy, love, lessons, and hopefully that leads to them taking action.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, isn't it?
It is.
I know. I didn't realize I named Ella so well.
Mm-hmm. My last question for you is: Why did you decide to get involved with Stop the Violence? Yes.
Oh goodness.
Back in Abilene, where all this.
Well, I think that was maybe a little divine intervention. I lived in Abilene for not very long, 2 years before Ella was murdered. And, like I said, a lot of the people that I knew got rid of me, but I did meet some new people, who kind of took me in. And I have a really, really close friend who does all my tattoos, who knew Chad. And he had been going to his church for, I don't know how long he'd been going to the church, but his name is Justin, and I had known Justin before all this happened because he would work on some stuff for me every now and then. And then after this happened, we became even closer, And he kept telling me, you know, every year when Chad was doing this, he's like, hey, you know, you should give Chad a call. And I'm like, no, I don't want to come back to Abilene. And no, it's just not time, no. But every year, like, you should give Chad a call. You should give Chad a call. You should give Chad a call. And then I've got 2 or 3 other, you know, we have friends that overlap. And they all, like, every now and then you'd all hear the same thing out of them. You should really call Chad. Like, you know, y'all, like, no, don't want to talk about this in Abilene. So I was on Facebook, 3 weeks, a month ago? Not even that long. And another friend of mine here in town had put something on Facebook that he was on the planning committee. So I'm just like, you know, I didn't even have any intention of getting in touch with Chad. I just put out there like, oh, so you're on the Stop the Violence Planning Committee this year. And he was like, yeah. And I don't even know why I said it, but before I even thought about it, it just came out of my mouth, well, you should get me in touch with Chad. And then I'm like, why did I say that? Because I don't want to go back there. Like, but then as time went on, like, I talked to Chad, and it just seems like the timing is right. You know, he's doing a wonderful thing for this city. I can't say that I've followed what's been going on too much here in town. I did read about the road rage on sales when it happened. I have heard little stories here and there from the friends that I do have still living here. So I went back and started reading through the news, and I mean, goodness, Abilene sounds just as bad as San Antonio, and it's Abilene. So I just decided the time was right. I started the foundation. Chad was willing to let me speak, and I can't explain all the rest because I have no idea how divine intervention works. It just works.
You just kind of go with the flow tomorrow.
I have learned since Ella's death that signs are everywhere. We just don't ever take the time to slow down and see them. And even if we see them, most of us rarely will follow them. We get so caught up into, well, that's not what I want, or I'd rather have this, or... Well, I didn't know what to do after I lost Paris and Ella. I could not navigate my own ship anymore. And again, there was a component of divine intervention. And I see signs everywhere now. And I've learned to have faith in them and to follow them, whether I want to or not. Do I like coming back to Abilene? No. I drive into town and I see the soccer field that my daughter played soccer on, and I can still see her running across the field. I drive past Abilene Christian School and I can still see my daughter running down the hallway to come get in the car. I don't like being in this town. Too many memories. But I think Ella wants me here right now. The signs all pointed here. I wrote what I considered to be an amazing speech. I was very proud of myself. And I'm ready. You know, I have the foundation. And the reason I believe in balance, I believe that when our lives have been so thrown out of balance after a trauma like this, that one thing we do need to seek is how to find what they call it a new normal in some of the literature and research. And, you know, I have found my new normal. This world of violence is normal for me now. Thankfully, not because I'm experiencing it every day, which many do, but how to navigate my way through this world has become normal. And I seem to be blessed in that, you know, I can show others how I've done it. And so I believe that coming back to Abilene and finally talking to the media after everything that happened, and introducing, or should I say reintroducing, Ella to the world again, not as the 4-year-old murdered by her brother, but as the amazing 4-year-old who is going to help many families through what she taught me. It kind of came full circle. It's back in balance. Or it's back in balance in my new normal.